Now, the shares of NIO finished the day trading at $5.07, up 4.11% yesterday. This is something that is just so great. And this, of course, upsurging, I think it was also fueled by the Q2 earnings from XPeng, which came pretty decent, pretty good. And obviously, the investors, those that are investing onto NIO, they know that the same outcome that we saw on XPeng's Q2 earnings might be the same outcomes that we see onto NIO's Q2 earnings. Today, officially, NIO has dropped the date where they will be announcing their Q2 earnings. It is the 2nd of September, and this will be before market open. And my dear friends, it is going to go down because Q2, you'll remember that this is a very, very interesting quarter because the NIO CEO has already told us that, look, it will be very much different from what you saw in Q4 and Q1. You will know that regardless of Q4, NIO seeing an all-time high in terms of the quarterly deliveries, and NIO losses came at almost $1 billion, and NIO investors were not happy with that. And now, from now in Q2 or from Q2 earnings, we are expected to see things changing. I mean, even in Q1, net losses were almost $1 billion. And this is expected to start changing. Things are expected to start getting better for NIO right now in this Q2 or from this Q2 earnings. And the NIO CEO has already told us about that, which is something that is pretty exciting, something that makes a lot of the new investors to look forward to the earnings of NIO of quarter 2 coming on the 2nd of September. I mean, yesterday, XPeng reported like pretty decent figures with gross margins getting to 17% or over 17%, which is the same thing that would want to see at least from NIO. I know we might not get to 17%, but there should be an improvement of gross margins. I mean, vehicle margins for XPeng, I think they were around 14% of Q2, but their overall gross margins went over, of course, 17%, which was led or fueled by the non-EV sales, where they are selling parts for their cars and other components, which really boosted their overall gross margins. And therefore, even on NIO side, we are hoping that we get to see a similar thing playing out also during their Q2 earnings. I mean, NIO, before market open today, I know as I'm doing this video, it's on a red, but there is a lot that is expected to come out of NIO. We're expecting great things. We're expecting good things to come out of NIO. And my dear friends, I am quite confident going to the 2nd of September to see that NIO will do very, very well. And mind you, the day before that, NIO would have given us the delivery for August. Now, something very interesting about August deliveries is that obviously they are going to report an all-time high in terms of deliveries, right? In terms of the actual deliveries that they generated in August, which is that in itself, it's going to make probably the share price on the 1st of August on the 1st of September to react very, very positive, right? Meaning that the market is going to react positively on the improvement of the deliveries of NIO. And day after that, knowing that their earnings, where not only we are going to get to see how NIO performed in Q2 in terms of earnings, but we are also going to get the guidance on how many vehicles is NIO expecting to generate in Q3. It's just going to be so great. I think, if my memory serves me well, XPeng, they got it like what, 113,000 cars, somewhere around there as their Q3 guidance for the cars. I know for NIO it might be an overstretch, but me, I've called it before. I've said it before. I might have to say it now to say that I believe that we can get a guidance of around 100,000 for NIO in Q3, which that will be pretty decent. Something very different between NIO and XPeng, you will know, are the kind of cars that they make. XPeng make more of mass market brands or mass market cars, whilst NIO make a variety of cars. There's premium car, which is, or there's premium brand, which is NIO. There's family-oriented brand, which is Onvo. There is, of course, a small high-end brand called Firefly. All these, of course, will cater for different type of people in the world or in China, right? The middle to upper income earners will most definitely go to NIO and buy NIO and not ONVO. That is their class. And of course, lower to middle will go for ONVO. And again, lower to middle again will still go for Firefly. The same group that would go buy ONVO, the very same group can buy also Firefly, which is something that is very, very interesting. So, my dear friends, I look forward to the Q2 earnings of NIO, which are expected to come on the 2nd of September. A lot of people will be closely monitoring those earnings, and something very important, of course, or three most important things, of course, will be number one, the net losses. Last 2 quarters, the net losses were almost $1 billion. We want to see that coming down sharply. Some people are projecting net losses will be around $600 million. Let's wait, let's see if that will be the improvement. Number two, how close is NIO getting to profitability, their earnings per share? We want to obviously know that, and the more their net losses are reduced, the more the earnings per share will also get closer and closer to zero, going to break even for NIO. Another thing is, of course, the guidance which they will give us. That is very, very important in terms of the guidance that NIO is going to give for Q3 in terms of deliveries and in terms of the revenue they generate. It is going to be very, very important for NIO to also give a good guidance if their earnings will positively, or for their earnings to positively impact the NIO stock. And I think all those parts that I touched, and also maybe the cash and cash equivalents or the cash at hand, it's also a very important figure. And all those, I hope they all come positive. We see cash and cash equivalents increasing. We see, of course, earnings per share dropping towards zero, and we see, of course, the guidance which they give at least being 100,000 cars being sold, and of course the net losses coming down. It's very important that all of this gets to come out pretty sharp. I mean, you know that in terms of deliveries, Q2 NIO sold 72,056 cars, which is very, very, it was a very good figure. And hopefully we get to see the gross margins of vehicle margins improving. Something that tells me already or signals a very good gross margins is, of course, the launching of the NIO ES6, the EC6 85 Touring 85 mid sedan. You will remember that NIO is using their in-house developed autonomous driving chip, and that chip alone increases the gross margins or improves the gross margins of the NIO cars. And knowing that in May, or from May, NIO was already or had already started selling those cars, it is something that is great. ET9 is another key factor or key player that will make the earnings of NIO to be so good, which is why I look forward to what is coming. So yeah, man, tell me what you think about this. Blue sky is coming, long term will win. That is all from me, and God bless you all.